morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you might be joining us as a listener or as a viewer. Welcome back to another episode of Resilient Voices, the podcast brought to you by Telling Lives from ESI in collaboration with Gibbs EDA. I am so excited to be back with you for this episode because we are talking all things creativity and innovation. And joining me today is the beautiful, the lovely, the glowing Miss Jackie. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure.
Let's get to business. How are you doing?
I'm good. Tired, but I'm good.
Yeah? Tired from what?
I just feel exhausted, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I need to take a break, like just a week with my phone off to Zanzibar specifically. With a cocktail.
Specifically with the blue
With a
water.
cocktail, yes.
I got
In
you,
a
pina
bikini,
colada
with my
in your
phone
hand.
off, my laptop off.
I've
no
got you.
mommyhood, nothing, just me, myself and I.
Well, that makes sense to me because you're a whole entrepreneur. Your career is being tired, last time I checked.
Sure.
But we've spoken up until this point in the podcast series about many aspects of entrepreneurship. We've spoken about it from the perspective of community. We've spoken about the different forms of entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship. We're going to touch a little bit later on the money side of things. But you're coming in now with such an exciting and fun angle that I think a lot of people tend to forget, which is the fact that to be an entrepreneur, in the process of you solving a problem, you often solve it creatively. And I would love to hear from you, what are the characteristics of a creative entrepreneur?
Everybody is creative in their own way, hey?
Exactly, yeah.
So it depends on how you tackle a situation. Like, just find what you love. If you do what you love, creativity just comes naturally because every day, like, you breathe, you sleep, you eat your job, you know? So just think of ways to, like, do things differently, you know? So I do events, marketing also. So with events, I try, my previous slogan was tailor-made events.
Love that.
Try do different events for each person so that we don't do the same thing. It gets boring, you know? Read the room, get your client, see what they like, and then do something that's going to gel with them. They'll come, they'll give you a brief, and then you just take that and then give them an option, do a mood board, like go on Pinterest, do that. Even if they said that they wanted something, if you come with your creative side, they end up seeing the vision, they seeing the light, you know? It depends on how you look at it, but it just takes thinking out of the box, going somewhere. You can just be sitting here in a room and just think that, what can I do? Like a red bag, what can I do that bag, you know? Just think out of the box.
But when money is involved, how do you get money to back up your creative idea without your creative idea changing itself into the vision of where the money would like to go?
So it's about making the client think that the idea is their idea.
Right. Now, how do you do that?
Then I'll be giving out my secret. It's not manipulation.
Yeah, it's manipulation. Let's call it for what it is.
I just make it seem as if you want this, but then I steer you into the right direction, you know? I help you see the light, you know?
Once you were blind, now you see.
And then afterwards, we'll talk about it and say, by the way, that was just me showing you that. And you also look at like ways to cut costs. You know, you don't want to get like an idea. You look at the client's budget. There's also a budget, and we can work within any budget. So if your budget's 5,000 rands, let's do something creative with that 5,000 rands, you know? If you've got a big budget, then that makes life easier.
Right,
so we work according to your budget, but then we also want to make you happy, and I still need to make my profit, you know? It's a win-win situation.
And I would love to know from you how you have cultivated and matured your creativity and your imagination, still keeping the young child there that sees things differently, but continuing to mature it as you grow in your entrepreneurial journey, but also in just your personal journey. How do you not lose that touch of imagination?
I'm an adult, but people always refer to me as childish.
Same.
It's not childish, I'm childlike, you know?
Yes.
I just don't want to grow up. Like, why must we be serious? You know, like, why should we like be serious and like, you know, we can still have fun and be kids. I'm an adult. My daughter, she thinks I'm so childish. She's so mature. She's an adult and I'm the kid. And I'd like to think I'm wired differently. I love having fun. I love I'm the person who go to a place where the people I don't know and just sit and talk to you like I know you for
like we've known each other for a long time.
Exactly. And I always try to find ways on how to think of innovative ways to do things. My first day at Gibbs, we were put in groups and we had to come up with ideas. And I can't mention my idea now because I'm working on that and somebody might steal it.
Okay.
But I came up with an idea that, me and my group came up with an idea that works well with events. And I'm in the events industry, so it made sense for me and the group to use that idea. It's always just it's little things, just because we're not wired the same. I can look at a light, you might not see what I see. It just happens, I don't know why, and I'm happy. I thank God for it. It just makes sense to me. I can think of an idea and it just makes sense to me.
I think, I relate to that so much, just on a personal note, because I was trying to reflect the other day with a good friend of mine is this just something you're born with, or is it something that is cultivated and is trained kind of into you? But I think it also feeds into the way you think differently, most likely is also going to write how your purpose looks like and how you implement your creativity within that. And I know that not a lot of people like to think creatively because anything that's creative is a risk from what I've seen.
True.
And I'm curious to hear from you, given that an entrepreneurial journey and running a business period, the bottom line is that it's a risk.
It is.
And now you add this element of creativity instead of focusing on, black and white, this is the service I deliver, whatever it is. How do you balance yourself within that risk, knowing that there's still a high reward that's going to come out of the creative side?
I think because we're in a competitive industry, so you need to stand out, eh?
Of course.
There's a lot of event companies.
Of course.
Why must we pick you? I can go elsewhere. So once you bring something different, you stand out. The aim is to stand out, Yesterday I saw a video of a father giving his daughter a motivational talk. And he said to her, you must be a leader, not a follower, but you must be a leader that has a following. So
that's so good.
It's nice to stand out. Yes, there's black and white, but what about the middle, I've always been that person that I'm not going to listen to anybody who says that I can't do it. I'm going to do it. I test the boundaries. I push. I don't allow, if they say, no, you're too fat, you can't do this. I'm going to go if I'm fat. If you're too tall, you're too this. It doesn't affect me. That's your opinion. And you're allowed to have an opinion. But I think I can and I will. So that's where I think I'm different. I don't listen to people's perspectives. If it might not work, but then I won't know until I try. So let me rather fail with trying, unlike just not doing it and never knowing if it would have worked. So just be great. Try, stand out, try be different. Bring different ways to do different things. You must have a reason why you should be chosen,
Of course.
You don't want to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's boring. Look at your Elon Musk. They were innovative. They came up with an idea. It didn't work the first time. It's about patience also. It might not work, but just try it, perfect it.
Differently and
think,
every time.
Just keep thinking.
Evolving.
If it means getting a group of people in a room, present to them your friends, your family, your neighbor, your boyfriend, your husband. Get them to have a say and give you constructive criticism, eh?
How do you protect your ideas that have come from you to stop someone from coming in and taking it and manipulating it to make it seem as though it's their own, just because they have money, for example?
I haven't had a situation where, where an idea has been taken. But right now, like I said, I'm working on something that is not out there yet. That I'm not going to mention, maybe the next time we speak, I'm going to also be an Elon Musk. Maybe I interviewed that girl, Honestly, I've just not had time to work on it, but might be part of a program that's going to help me get a prototype and perfect it and get sponsors, mentorship. So it's about keeping it to yourself because you don't know who to trust, eh?
Exactly.
I'd gotten someone who wanted to help, but then they were you can see that they're trying to take the idea and they want to steal it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's stop. You don't share the full information. Just test the waters and give bits, not the full thing, and see how they react. Also, people with money, well, not all of them, but watch who you try find. And if you don't have funds, wait a bit until you're ready, until you find the right people. And if you can, patent the idea, if you can, but then most people don't. Most people suffer there.
No.
I'm hoping this idea, works, and I can say, what, I am not,
you.
my lips are sealed, like
I'm
literally.
following you.
Yeah.
Because I think what you're speaking on there is, I said, like, creativity is like at the center of so much, but it draws from so many things.
Yeah.
It draws from imagination. It draws from, we said communication, not manipulation.
Yeah.
But it draws, depending on when you're going to use it. And from what your answer just said to me now, I'm hearing it draws from wisdom and being able to read people's energies and who is there to listen for good intentions and who is there to listen for bad intentions. And I think sometimes we get so excited about our ideas and you want to share so badly. And I'm so curious for you, how do you calm yourself down when the idea comes? Like, how do you I know this is brilliant, but wait. How do you center yourself in that moment right there and then? Because it almost feels instinctual as a human being to want to share with someone this exciting thing. So how do you gatekeep it and just calm yourself down in that moment?
I used to love posting on social media, everything that happens.
I'm so glad you mentioned social,
I would have
because you were going there.
I would have posted this podcast, guys. I'm doing a podcast at Gibbs, and I now have learned to keep, because not everybody's happy for you. Even if they smile, people are jealous, even unfortunately friends and family, So I've learned to keep things to myself until they see the results. How truly, because it's my thing, you'll find out, you'll see the results afterwards. So it was hard, I won't lie. I'm a poster. I used to post everything that happens in my love life, when I'm in love, when I'm hurt and everything. So now I've learned to keep things to myself. I share with my daughter, and I got myself a journal. I write things down now. It's going to stay there. Whatever you say stays there. Nobody's going to see it. And so I've learned that you don't have to post everything that happens in life. Like, just confuse them. Post memes, post silly things, and they'll see once you've...
I think that's a very fine line as well, because now if we're going back to some of our audience members who might be listening or watching this episode, a lot of what has made successful businesses as well today is people naturally reaching out to a new audience through social media. It's seen as a platform to kind of cultivate that space for you, to test things out for you. How do you balance that line of using social media to test out your idea, but also knowing that now is not the moment to test it out there? Because it's a double-edged sword. It can work, but also it can screw you over. I almost used French there.
I'm glad you didn't.
So I'm just curious, how can people learn that balance of this I can share on social media, this I can't share, especially if they're trying to build something from that platform?
So if you want to market, obviously social media is the best platform to market. Like, if you're having an event and you want to market it, go all out. But if it's something that you want to keep, you're not sure about it, and the possibilities that somebody might steal the idea or somebody else might do that, you keep it to yourself, It's hard, but maybe rather do like a poll or a survey. That's what I do with my friends.
Right.
I'll ask randomly. I won't say it's my idea. Oh, by the way, there's this person who said they want to do this and this. What do you think about that? And just see their reaction. I won't say it's me. I'll come to you and say,
remember that time?
My daughter at school has a project and they're doing this and that. And what do you think? And I get opinions that way. There, it's not like a thing. If you come and say you're doing this, and then now the curious eyes are out, and
Right.
So if you just make it like a random thing, just during a chat and just throw it in there, like not a serious thing, just throw it in there while we're drinking or whatever we're doing. And by the way, I'm thinking of selling shoes by the corner there. What do you think it would work?
Yeah, you're testing
like just in passing,
putting in your toes.
Just to see,
Okay, now for a formal question. Not that these haven't been formal, but for a formal question. The whole theme with the Resilient Voices is whether it is an entrepreneurial journey that has been impacted by your personal journey with GBV, or it's an entrepreneurial journey that has been a byproduct of empowerment from going through that. I want to ask you, creativity often demands a strong sense of non-conformity a lot of times, and trusting your own instincts. And in what ways has your experience, if you don't mind us kind of going through this, can keep it surface level if you want, but your experience of an abusive cycle or going through something traumatic like gender-based violence that disrupts your natural instincts and almost kind of rewires them, how have you rewired them to trust them and know that I'm right and I belong and this is my vision and I'll do anything possible to make it happen?
That was a journey, actually, a long journey, because an ex, I won't mention any names, but then he would say, you're not enough, you're not good enough, you'll be nothing without me. And it gets to a point where you start believing that, if somebody keeps telling you something over and over, it sticks in your head, you're not going to find anyone who's going to love you like I do. And for the longest time, I believed that. But then I found support. Therapy does help. Talking to people, also, especially if it's people who've been through what you've been through. I had a good support structure. I still have a good support structure. And they were like, you're amazing. And I did not see how amazing I was until I left that relationship. It took a while. And looking back, I was like, what was I thinking? I want to go up to him and say, like, how dare you, And look at where you are now. Look at where I am. And for the longest time, I believe what you said. And also, like, standing in the mirror, looking at yourself and say, like, I'm enough, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I can, and I will. And also, I think my daughter, having like, somebody who looks up to you and thinks you're amazing, who thinks you're God.
Yeah.
My daughter helped me through the toughest times. Like, she was there for me. Wow. She doesn't know it yet, but I think she understands. She's so mature for her age. She would, when I was crying, she'd come and give me a hug and don't cry, mommy, And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I wish you knew what I'm going through. But it's a journey. It's a process. I'm still healing. And this program actually helped a lot. Especially now that we found sisterhood with the people that I'm with, We've been through the same journey and others worse than mine. You think that you've got the worst story until you hear someone else's story. And it's like, actually, mine is just something small. People are going through a lot out there. And it's about having a support structure that tells you that you're enough and you're beautiful. And also you believing in yourself. It took me a while and I wish I did back then. I would be further in life. But then it's never too late to start. So just finding the right support structure, going for therapy, talking about your problems. If you can't talk, write it down. Go back and read it, There are times when it's hard and then you can't pull through. You think of suicide and...
of course.
And I'm glad I did not give up, actually.
I'm glad you didn't. You would not have had this wonderful
conversation
and me trying to steal your dress a little bit after this podcast. But what you're touching on there, which I think has been really this central theme that has come out a lot in the episodes, is this emphasis and importance on healing, but also understanding that healing is not a linear journey. It can change. And I'm so glad you mentioned your daughter and the role that she played in your life. Based on previous conversations we've had with the ladies prior as well, you can see the influence that, your children have had in making you pull through with this. And I just want to ask you now, for our listeners and our viewers who are looking to you, knowing that they want to leave those situations, they want to be in a space of creativity, whether they have a child or not, whether they have that community or not, for you, what would be the first step for them? One. And number two, for those who do have children, how do you remind them that their kids are also sponges? They can feel, like you just said now, your daughter could feel your pain, right? Even if she didn't understand it. What can they do to have that inner voice and that power to stand up and step into their creativity like you have?
With the first question, it's not easy to leave, You'll keep forgiving them, going back, and you end up blaming yourself. Maybe if I do this better, he'll be different. And it took me, I stayed through cheating. He made some girl pregnant, I stayed through that. And the one time I'd forgiven him, we had made up, he was trying to be a good person. And all he said to me was that he feels like if he buys a house, he has to take me. And he's too young to commit, And that was enough for me to I'm wasting my time because I thought we were building, And I was like, those words for me was where I stayed through, mind you, I stayed through everything.
Right.
And after he said that, I was like, I'm wasting my time here. It's time for me to get up and go up on my own. And after that, I got up, I had long hair, I cut my hair, did a bob cut, and I changed my wardrobe.
There's power in the hair. Yeah. That's a different conversation.
We know when a woman cuts their hair, they're about to change their lives, I cut my hair, I moved, changed my SIM card. I stayed 3 months because every time he'd come back, I'd forgive him. Spent 3 months without seeing him.
Breaking that cycle.
And then it was done. And I saw him after 3 months and he was like, wow, that was what I was crying for. So it will come from you. People can tell you leave, you will not leave. So it will come. It might take 10 years, 20 years, but it will come. If you can, try get an And also, women leave mentally before they leave physically. You'll stay in a relationship, but you're no longer there.
Of course.
If you do find that courage, leave sooner if you can, you know. Talk to people, find support groups, like just try. It's hard. It's extremely hard. Believe me, I've been there. I'm not going to make myself better. So if you can, also if you're staying with him and you can't leave, try find a hobby, find something that you like. If you like baking, teach yourself how to bake, make cakes and read. We've got internet now, YouTube, like make YouTube your best friend. There's free courses, do something while you're staying with him, you know? If you can, get money from him to sponsor you to go study.
Of course, there's that.
Try
too.
get money, you know? But just, it will come. There is no a book, like a manual to say that you can just leave.
Yes.
I wish I'd left sooner, but I couldn't. I don't know why now, but I wish I did. So take time, find yourself, and it's never too late to start, eh? You can start a business 60 years. We had a lady who was in our class and she was old, eh? And she was through everything, and I'm so proud of her, eh?
Amazing.
It's never too late to start up anything.
Amazing.
Also, with the kids, the second part of the question, we sometimes speak in front of kids without thinking because we said, you know, and kids, guys, child speak things the way they are. You know, if a child comes to you and says that lady says that doesn't like you,
Sponges.
they tell the truth. Kids don't lie, eh? It's, with me at first, I used to speak in front of her. And she would project that anger because my enemy now became her enemy. Because she'd see that this one makes mommy angry, you know? But then I learned, okay, I shouldn't speak in front of her because I don't want to influence her. She'd be able to make, you know, her own choice. And you must watch what you say. It's very hard. You can't.
Of course.
You forget that the kids are there. You like, you visit me and we're sitting together and she's there and she's playing. You think they're not listening. They are listening. Try avoid speaking in front of the kids. If you can, go on a date, lunch somewhere and take your kids somewhere else. You know, when they're at school, preschool, spend time with a friend, talk, confide. If you on a call, just say, let's text, you know? Write it down. Don't speak in front of kids because, kids are sponges. And it also affects them, eh?
Absolutely.
It also affects kids. But funny enough, my daughter still believes in marriage and love and she wants to have 3 kids. I'm like, why? Like, why?
Are you sure you're mine?
Like, why would you want to do that? You know, like, you're okay. Like, just be single and make money and just be rich and just be by yourself, you know? You can just travel and you don't need a man. No, but I want to have a family. I'm like, okay, you know what? So I'm glad that my perspective is not affecting her, you know? She's her own person. She makes her own... Yeah, she's different from completely different. She's very calm. She's mature. I'm a kid. I'm childish. I'm loud. And Mom, please stop. You're so loud, eh? Like, okay, I'm sorry.
Love it. Oh, Jackie, this has been such a wonderful conversation. But before I let you go, perhaps if there's anything you would like to share, connect about the events business that you run, how can people get a hold of you? If you want people to get a hold of you, or we can just wrap it up right here.
I do events, but I don't do social events. I do corporate events. I feel like social events are a lot of work and I deal with like team buildings, event functions, conferences. I do marketing. I do PR, brand management. I've got a nice team. The company is called Lehakwe Media. And Lehakwe is named after my daughter. Her name is Lehakwe.
Amazing.
And I started that company the day that I walked away from a toxic relationship. So it was 2013, the 26th of July. And every year on the anniversary, I celebrate, eh?
Amazing.
Because that's the day
As
that I
you
took
should.
back, I took back my power. And
It's a new birthday in a way, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
It is. And that's the best thing I've ever done, eh? So it's called Lehakwe Media. You can contact us. We've got a website, lehakwemedia.co.za. We've got a Instagram, Facebook, and I think it's got a Twitter page. My daughter does the social media.
Amazing stuff.
She needs to earn her keep. No, I'm joking. But she enjoys it, so she does all the creative part. But yeah, so if you want to get hold of us, you can go on our website and contact us. And you never know, you might be my new client, you know? I might be your new service provider.
I love it. I think that is fantastic. And with that, we can wrap up today's episode. All of the information on where you can find Jackie's details and her company will be linked on the YouTube description below, or it will be in the episode description if you are listening to us and streaming over audio on Spotify. Jackie, thank you so very much again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to everybody else for tuning in, listening, or
Thank
watching.
you.
Until next time, cheers.